What is dispersion? I said it is splitting of white light into its constituent colors. And those colors are Vibgyor, Vibgyor. 7 colors are there. Those 7 colors are called spectrum, but they are called visible spectrum. Which color has the shortest wavelength there? So we say violet, it is 4000 angstrom. Which color has got the longest wavelength? So it is red. Red has got the longest wavelength, that is 8000 angstrom. Out of violet and the red, which has the highest energy? So violet, because violet comes first. In the order also, the study I showed, violet is more harmful than the red. Red contains the less amount of energy. Which has the highest frequency? Violet, because violet is more harmful, violet contains more energy, so violet is more harmful. And who discovered the phenomenon of dispersion? We say Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. Then Newton had to do some experiments to prove his theory of dispersion. So you remember that first experiment was green filter experiment, second was recombination prism experiment, and the third was Newton color disk experiment. These 3 experiments he had to perform in order to keep the mouth of his opponents shut. Okay. Before we start, so I'll just ask one question and then we'll continue. When we are having a glass block, it is made up of glass, and a white light is made to pass through. White light is passing through the rectangular glass block. This time, no dispersion takes place. Dispersion does not take place. Why? When white light passes through a prism, it splits into 7 colors, and we see 7 colors on the screen. But when same white light passes through a rectangular glass block, it is also made up of glass only, but this time no dispersion takes place. Why? Question may come in ICC. Why there is no dispersion when white light passes through a rectangular glass block? So, what should be the answer for this? The answer is simple and bit logical. Yeah, can you share the answer? You can. Why there is no dispersion taking place when white light passes through a glass block? The reason is because a rectangular glass block acts as a set of 2 prisms kept in inverted positions. Of them, one disperses and the other one recombines or rejoins them to form white light. You can understand from this diagram. So this glass block, we can divide it into 2 prisms. This is one prism, this is another prism. This prism and this prism are in inverted position, like this is there and this is like this. So this prism, first prism will be dispersing and the second one will be rejoining them, and the combination will be white. That is, the emerging light will not be dispersing. The light which emerges off will be white only. This is the reason behind. I think this is based on the recombination prism experiment. If you remember the study I told you, Newton took one prism like this, another prism like this, and one prism white light was passed. So it was happening like this. The other one was combining and the emerging light was white. So if you put these 2 prisms together, if you put these 2 join them together, it becomes a rectangular glass block. Exactly the same thing happens within a glass block. One prism will be dispersing and the other one will be rejoining them or recombining them to give the white emerging light. That's why no dispersion is observed when white light passes through a rectangular glass block. What answer would you write if the question comes like this? The answer will be like this. We say a rectangular glass block acts as a set of 2 identical prisms of which one disperses and other recombines, rejoins them to form white light. Hence no dispersion takes place. That should be the answer for this question. I think you must have understood the logic behind it. It is based on the recombination prism experiment. Okay, so this can be an important question for ICC, and this type of question you will not find in the book. It is not given there. So please learn the thorough basics. Okay, yesterday I told you there are like the visible light, there are altogether seven electromagnetic spectrums, or electromagnetic waves also we can call them. And I gave the name also. What are the properties common to all of them? What are the properties common? We say number one, they all have equal speed in vacuum, which they all can travel through the vacuum with the speed equal to the speed of light, which is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. That is, they all have same speed in the air or in vacuum. That is point number one. This is very important aspect and very is given in bold with in the syllabus on this. So this part you must learn very well. Second property common is they all exhibit or they all are reflected and refracted. Third property, in any order we can write. Third property, they are unaffected or undeflected by electric and magnetic field. And the fourth property is they are transverse in nature. And how do they differ from each other? They differ from each other in properties, in uses, in frequency, and in wavelength. Will be different. Sir. 7 electromagnetic spectrums. Name I gave yesterday. It was gamma first, right on top. You can check. Then comes X-rays. Then comes UV rays. Then comes visible light. Then comes infrared. Then comes microwaves. Then comes radio waves. 7 of them. You have to learn them in order, in the increasing order of their wavelengths. And wavelength range also I gave you. So you have to learn wavelength wise. So which is the most harmful of them? So we say right on top, that is gamma. Which is the least harmful? Right at the bottom, that is radio waves. So important thing I already told about them, the general properties and all that I mentioned yesterday. So now today we'll be doing some problems. The problems will be based on the formula, this one. V is equal to F lambda. V means velocity, where V is equal to velocity. F is frequency. And lambda means wavelength, length of one wave, wavelength. Wavelength is the linear distance covered by a wave. The linear distance covered by a wave is called wavelength. Okay, the formula connecting them for any kind of electromagnetic wave or any electromagnetic spectrum is V equal to F lambda. Out of 3, V value will be same for all in a particular medium, maybe air. In air or in vacuum, the velocity value is same, but frequency and wavelength will be different. So 2 will be given, 1 unknown we can find out. So for example, I take a question. Find the frequency of X-rays of wavelength 60 angstrom. That is the question. Or even question may come like this. Find the frequency of an electromagnetic wave whose wavelength is 60 angstrom, and name the spectrum. So I think 0.1 to 100 angstrom, you can see the range. Range also is important there. 0.1 angstrom to 60 angstrom is X-rays. Then you have to name it X-rays and you have to calculate the frequency. So we have the formula, answer we are writing here. Answer we will be writing V is equal to F lambda. F is frequency, lambda is wavelength. Velocity value is 3 into 10 to the power of 8. Though the value of velocity of light or speed of light will be given in the question, even if it is not given, we will be using this value only because it is all electromagnetic wave having equal speeds. Frequency we have to find unknown. Lambda value is 60. Angstroms, we must put the value of angstrom. So what is the value of angstrom? I gave the value yesterday, 10 to the power of minus 10. So remember that value. 1 angstrom is 10 to the power minus 10. If they give directly in meter here, we'll be using meter directly here without changing into, further without multiplying by anything. But if it is given in angstroms, 1 angstrom makes 10 to the minus 10 meters, so we have to change. Therefore, F value will become this divided by this. 3 into 10 to the power of 8 divided by 60 into 10 to the power of minus 10. Now we are doing the calculation. So calculation part, please try to understand. This number we have to make it bigger than this 60. So we'll be taking 0 from it and adding on here. I'll make it 3, 1 0 I'll take. It becomes 30. Still if this is smaller than 60. So one more 0 I'll add on. It becomes 300. Now it's becoming bigger, just bigger than 60. 2 digit is 3 digit. So you have taken 2 zeros here, so write 6. Out of 8 zeros, I have added 2 zeros in 3. And I say 60 into 10 to the power of minus 10. Now cancel 60 and this will go 5 times. Right? 5 into 10 to the power of 6, this power will come up, so power will be added up. It will become like 6 plus 10. Rule of indices. It becomes 5 into 10 to the power of 16. This is the answer. 5 into 10 to the power of 16. And what should be the unit for it? Frequency unit is hertz. Hz. We write the hertz. Or we write s to the power minus 1. That is per second. So the best is hertz. Hz. The unit for frequency will become hertz. 5 into 10 to the power of 16 hertz. So that is the solution for this question. You may get this kind of question there. Now another question they are saying, and the formula is this only one formula here. Now question says, a radio wave is released. A radio wave is released at, I write the question. A radio wave is released or transmitted, released at 5 nhz. Find its wavelength. Find its wavelength. That is the question. Now answer we are giving here. Frequency is given 5 megahertz. 5 nhz. Mega is coming, so we have to change in hertz. Mega value we have to put. We write with 5 10 to the power of 6. Mega value is 10 to the power of 6. If it is given gigahertz, it becomes 10 to the power of 9. If it is giga. Mega value will be 10 to the power of 6. If it is given kilo, we will be writing 10 to the power of 3. So it is mega, so mega value is 10 to the power of 6. So please remember that. This thing you used to do in class 9, so the value is important, you must remember that. And now we are using the formula same, V is equal to F lambda. Velocity value is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 without fail. Frequency value will put 5 into 10 to the power of 6 into lambda is unknown. We have to find the value of lambda. Therefore, this will come down, lambda value will become as 3 into 10 to the power of 8 divided by this thing, 5 into 10 to the power of 6. Now we are working on it. We are adding zeros. There are 10 to the power of 8, that means there are 8 zeros. So we'll be adding a certain number of zeros so that this number becomes greater than this number. If we add 1 zero only here, it will become 30 by 5, so bigger. And then other thing just like 10 to the power of 7 into 10 to the power of 6 we are adding. 5, this will go 6 times. It becomes 6 into, this will come up. 7 minus 6 become 1. 10 to the power of 1 means 10 only. So 6 tens are becoming 60. Now we can multiply and write answer. 60 meter. Unit for wavelength is meter. That is the answer. It's quite simple. Problems are simple, but we have to know the value for mega, kilo, this kind of value we are supposed to know. So wavelength of that radio wave is 60 meter. That is the answer. Now, if you see the range of wavelength for visible light, it was from 4000 angstrom to 8000 angstrom. 4000 to 8000 angstrom. 4000 to 8000 angstrom it was. 4000 was 4,000 was for violet and 8,000 was there for red. So this range of wavelength is called range of visibility, range of seeing the color. In class 9, we used to do a topic range of audibility. What is the range of audibility? If you remember, we used to say 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. We can only hear the sound whose frequency lies between 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That is the audio range or range of audibility. So 20, now same way, range of visibility is 4,000 angstrom to 8,000 angstrom. That is the wavelength wise. Wavelength wise, we remember it. Wavelength wise, it becomes easier. 4,000 is a round figure and 8,000 is another round figure. If question asks you, find the frequency of the violet light. Find the frequency of violet light. Or to find the frequency of violet. We'll be writing the answer now like this. What is the wavelength? Lambda is equal to, we'll take 4,000 angstrom. Or in the question they may say, take the wavelength of violet light as 4,000 angstrom and find the frequency, the question says. So how to first take meter, right here 4,000 into 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Now find frequency. The formula is V is equal to F lambda. Velocity value is 3 into 10 to the power of 8. Frequency we have to find, and lambda value is this much, 4,000 into 10 to the power minus 10. I'll bring this one down and divide it. It will become that is F is equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 8 divided by 1, 2, 3 into 10 to the power minus 10. Now I'll make it bigger by taking zeros from the power of 10 to make it bigger. So that 3, take 1 0 here. Still smaller, 1 more 0, 1 more 0, 3,000, this is 4,000, still smaller, take 1 more 0, and down one just copy, denominator just to copy, and I have taken 4 0 here, I have 4 zeros over here, cancel now, 3 0, 3 0 will go, 30 by 4 divide, 2 the 15, 15 by 2, answer is 7.5, 4 minus 10 will come up, you have to add 4 plus 10, 14, so this is the answer. 7.5 into 10 to the power of 14 hertz. This is the answer for, this is the frequency of the violet light. Similarly, the question asks you, find the frequency of the red light. Find the frequency of the red light. Let us check. What is the wavelength of the red light? We are doing here with lambda value is 8,000 angstrom. And we are changing to 8,000 into 10 to the power minus 10 meter. You can see one tricky method you can use over here is like this. Wavelength is 4,000, now it is 8,000. It is just double. When the wavelength is double, the frequency will be half because they are inversely proportional. What is the frequency of just now taking 7.5 to 10 to the power 14 hertz? Now it will become half of that. The 7.5 by 2 we can directly divide. Because frequency and wavelength, these two are inversely proportional, they will come down. When the wavelength is small, frequency will be less. And the wavelength is less, then frequency will be more. Just a reverse, just a reciprocal or inversely proportional, you can say. So, without doing any calculation, you can just write the frequency of it will be half of this because the wavelength is exactly double. This is 4,000 and it is 8,000, exactly double. And if you are not sure about that, then you have to do the calculation and answer will come what I told you already. Let us check now the answer once again. I just do show the calculation, but the exact time you can just write directly there, half of it, because frequency is getting, wavelength is getting doubled, so frequency become exactly half of it. So velocity value we put 3 into 10 to the power of 8. Frequency we have to find, and this is coming 8,000 into 10 to the power minus 10. Making 8 the subject, 3 into 10 to the power of 8 upon 8,000 into 10 to the power minus 10. Same method we are following. From here, you borrow 0, add on 0 here. 1, 0, 2, 3, 4 0 you add on, become 10 to the power of 14. Sorry, 10 to the power of 4. and this is 8000 into 10 to the power minus 10. Now cancel 30, will go 2 4s are 2 15s are 15 by 4 divided will become 3.75 into 10 to the power of 14 hertz. So exactly half of this 3.7, half is coming over here exactly. Previously it was coming 15 by 2, now it is coming 15 by 4, exactly half of that value. So without doing any calculation also we can write down this. If question comes, what is the maximum frequency of the visible light? So visible light, which will have the maximum frequency? The answer is violet. So we will calculate the frequency of only violet. Maximum frequency 7.5 to 10 to the power 14 hertz. What is the least frequency of the visible light and which color will have it? So answer is red, and the minimum frequency is this much. If they ask you give the range of frequency of visible light, by chance if the question comes, that question becomes little lengthy, 3 marks question, then the question will get it. Write the range of frequency of visible light equal to the range of frequency will be writing from the smaller to bigger. Which is smaller? This one is smaller. First, we will be writing this 3.75 into 10 to the power of 14 hertz to 7.5 into 10 to the power of 14 hertz. By chance, if they ask you give the range of frequency of the visible light, we will give it like this. Okay. So I think we have done the sufficient number of problems which may come in ICC exams based on the formula V equal to F lambda and from this chapter. Okay, now we will do little more theory and then the chapter will be over. This is a short chapter, quite small chapter. And further they have reduced the syllabus, so it is now very short. Now you have to learn only the properties of UV rays and infrared rays only. Properties and then other uses and all that. Only of these two only you have to learn. Before everything was there. So now they have reduced it, only about these two you have to learn. But little idea just keep. Gamma rays, uses and properties will come in the last chapter. Radioactivity is the chapter, so there I will discuss. X-rays uses, I think you all know that X-rays are used for diagnosis, to detect the fracture in the bones. People do X-rays of their fractured portions. Sometimes they do the X-ray of teeth. Sometimes they do the X-rays of legs and hands and all in case it gets fractured. And you all know that. So you can suggest that even X-rays are used for the study of crystal behavior of solids. Crystal behavior of solid will like diamond. Check the purity of diamonds. X-rays are used. That smuggled goods and all in airports, they pass it through the X-ray chamber and they take the image. Those X-rays will give the image, and from there the policemen or the custom officers and all, they are able to detect what are the objects or articles being carried by the passengers. Yeah. So there we find the use. So just keep in mind in case it comes. Now I am talking about UV rays. The important point about the UV rays to know, or you can note it down, because I will be uploading it in the YouTube. You can do it in slow motion there and then write it down. UV rays, the source of UV rays is sun. Electric arc, electric lamp of high voltage electric lamp, they are the source of X-rays. High voltage lamp, sun rays bring the UV rays, ultraviolet rays. These are the sources of ultraviolet rays. Okay. Now, method of detection. How do we detect the presence of UV rays? UV rays are detected. This is also important. UV rays are detected by its chemical activity, chemical action. Out of all, this is most chemically sensitive. When silver nitrate solution or silver chloride solution is exposed to UV rays, the silver chloride solution first turns violet and after some time it turns black. That is how we can detect UV rays. How to detect UV rays? Once again I will tell you. It is detected by exposing silver chloride or silver nitrate solution to UV rays, which first turns violet and then turns completely black. Then it turns black. Or if you say simply UV rays turns silver chloride or silver nitrate solution black, that will be okay, fine. Instead of mentioning first what happens, and you can just say mention the final result. Final result, the solution will turn black. So that is how we detect. Detection is also important here. How do you detect? Okay, now its properties. UV rays we cannot see, except visible light. None of them we can see. UV rays are invisible. It is absorbed by ordinary glass. Ordinary glass absorbs it. But a particular kind of glass that is called quartz glass. Quartz. Quartz. Quartz glass. Quartz is the material, the glass made up of quartz, will allow UV rays to be transmitted. UV rays can pass through the quartz glass. That's why in order to obtain UV rays, we have to use what kind of glass? Quartz glass. You can't use ordinary glass because ordinary glass will not allow it to pass out. Rather, the ordinary glass will absorb it. That's why at home normally the window panes and all are usually made up of glass so that the ultraviolet rays from the sun are absorbed by them and we don't get the harmful effect of the UV rays. So that prevents us from the harmful effect of the UV rays. So sometimes question comes like this: why UV rays, UV lamps, LAMPs lamps are covered with quartz glass? So that since UV rays are transparent to the quartz glass, whereas they are easily absorbed by the ordinary glass. In order to obtain UV rays, sometimes UV rays are useful. In order to obtain UV rays, we have to use this kind of glass. The lamp is electric lamp, actually electric arcs. From there, the UV rays will be coming out, and that UV rays will be able to pass through only the quartz glass. In order to obtain it, we have to use quartz glass, not the ordinary glass. Remember that part. Okay, now I think you know that also UV rays from the sun, most of the amount of the UV rays are absorbed by ozone layer. Ozone layer is there in the atmosphere. They absorb most of the UV rays and they filter the UV rays. The UV rays which are coming to the earth are much less harmful. Their wavelength will be high and frequency will be low. So they are not that harmful to us. They are causing some useful effect on us. They are actually manufacturing vitamin D in the bones. UV rays are very important for some chemical reactions. Some chemical reaction takes place in our bones and they manufacture vitamin D for us. Vitamin D is very important for strengthening, for the strength of the bone. So that we get from the UV rays only. Okay, now properties I told you, it is transparent to quartz glass but is easily absorbed by the ordinary glass. Now I am talking about the uses of UV rays. What are the uses of UV rays? Of course, it is harmful because direct exposure to UV rays of higher frequency will result in skin cancer, will cause sunburn, and it may cause even blindness. So these are the harmful effects. If you see directly UV rays, it may damage retina of your eye, and eye will get damaged, and then it may lead to blindness or the defect of visions. Okay, now UV rays are used where, first I told you already, it is used in making vitamin D, in the manufacture of vitamin D. Second use, it is used for the purification of water. Water purifier, electric water purifier, they all have a UV ultraviolet ray tube inside. There is a chamber out here where the water is made to pass through the UV membrane or UV chamber. So there all the germs and all are killed by the UV rays. So it is used for purification of water. That is the second use. I think you must have seen. The third important use of UV rays is identification of the fake currency notes In the currency notes, there are linings over there. When you expose it to the UV rays, those linings starts glowing. I mean, it's a fluorescent. Okay, one thing, UV rays causes fluorescent action. Fluorescent action on the fluorescent materials such as zinc sulfide and all. They start glowing when they receive ultraviolet rays. There also UV rays are important, and UV rays are even used in the treatment of some diseases like not that major cancer and all. So it is used even in the treatment of some cancers, some kind of cancers, UV rays. So these are the properties and the uses of UV rays. Some are given in the book, but the important uses I already told you, and the important properties I already told you. If any question has to come from the uses and property, it will come from whatever I discussed. It will come from these are the important aspects. So I already discussed about it. Now I'm talking about infrared rays. Infrared rays. What is the source of infrared rays? The source of infrared rays is again sun, the first one, or any hot glowing object, any heated object will be emitting infrared rays. That will be the source of infrared rays. Now, infrared rays are identified. This is also important point. Infrared rays are identified by its heating ability, heating property. Infrared rays are identified by its heating property. It heats up the substance which receives infrared rays. Infrared falling on a surface, the surface gets heated up. Sun rays brings the heat as well. So, infrared rays are also called heat radiation. So, heat is mainly due to the presence of infrared rays. So, sun rays bring the heat as well at the same time, and it can travel even through the vacuum because above the atmosphere we don't have any medium, but yet it comes. Heat also comes. So infrared rays are identified by its heating property, and this one is identified by its chemical property, chemical reaction. Many chemicals, even the photosynthesis takes place in the presence of UV rays. In chemistry, you will learn in organic chemistry, some reactions will take place in the presence of UV rays only. Infrared rays are mainly the heating ones. It causes heating effect. Infrared rays are identified. Identification is again important here. Infrared rays are identified by a blackened bulb thermometer. Infrared rays are identified by a blackened bulb thermometer. What is that blackened bulb thermometer? We have a thermometer like this. I think you all must have seen a thermometer, and it is very much used nowadays in this kind of situation, pandemic, COVID situation. The bulb is made black. This is painted black. This portion is painted black. What is the use of painting it black, the bulb? The idea is because the black surface is a good absorber of heat radiation. Good absorber. The black surface will be absorbing infrared rays wherever it is coming from, and immediately the heat will come, infrared heat will come, the mercury will start rising quickly. If there is a quick rise in the mercury level, we say the infrared rays are present. If there is no change in the mercury level, then there is no infrared rays present over there. So this is identified by a blackened bulb thermometer. And there is another device called thermopile. And thermopile detail you don't have to know now because this is in class 12 syllabus. So no. If you can just remember the word thermopile. Thermopile is another instrument. There we use one copper and two different metals we use. One side copper and one side iron we use, and one side we heat and one side we cool and the other side will be exposing to the infrared rays. So infrared rays will cause heating effect and the current will be generated, and that current we detect by a meter called galvanometer. Galvanometer will detect the current. That is called thermopile. If there is a pointer moving there in thermopile, then there is a presence of infrared rays. So about this, you don't have to know much. But if you can remember the word thermopile, you suggest that, or this is simple one, the black and white thermometer. The detection is important. Now property, infrared rays, as I told you, heating property I already told you, and it has another property that it scatters very less. It scatters much less as compared to the visible light. It can go very far without getting deviated, without getting diverted. It can go very far. So this is the reason why infrared rays are used in the photography, in dim light weather, in foggy weather. In order to take photo, I think some certain cameras have got infrared sensors or infrared rays will be coming out from it. I think you all must be knowing about it. So they are used while taking the picture in the dim light or in foggy weather. So, and there we are using the low scattering property. What property do we use of infrared? Is low scattering property, not the heating property, but the low scattering. So it does not scatter on the way. Rather, it can go very far. It can penetrate through a large distance in air, and it can take the picture clearly. So that is the idea. Now another property, infrared rays has what I told you, two properties. One is heating, another one is low scattering property. And the third property, infrared rays are again absorbed by ordinary glass, but rock salt glass, rock salt. There is a kind of glass called rock salt. Rock salt glass can allow the infrared rays to pass through it. That means rock salt glass is transparent to infrared rays. So in order to receive infrared rays, we have to use rock salt glass or rock salt prism we use, or rock salt, the lamp must be covered with rock salt. Infrared rays are used by physiotherapists, maybe, like in case of massaging certain portions in order to treat paralysis, in order to, do massage, in order to, when you get some portions getting injured and all that swollen up. So they use a particular kind of lamp. From that lamp, the infrared rays will come out, and the heating effect of the infrared rays will remove the blood clot over there and will be relieving the pain, and will be, if there is a nerve and all, veins and all getting blocked inside, the blood is getting blocked inside the veins, that gets cleared up due to the infrared rays. So those lamps are covered with rock salt glass. UV lamps are covered with quartz glass, but infrared rays lamps are covered with rock salt glass. In certain nurseries, we go for greenhouse effect, the warming effect. I think you must be knowing about it. Nurseries where the plants are grown, so they use this kind of glass. The shade will be made up of this kind of glass, so the infrared will be transmitted through it, will be transparent, will be coming there, and that heat will not be escaping out there, because that is one-way traffic. So on the other way, the infrared rays remain there and supplies sufficient amount of heat for their growth. So that is the idea. Now the infrared rays uses, as I already told you, photography in the dim light weather. That is first use. Second use, heating property, physiotherapy I already told you. Then the third use in a war signal, to give the signal during war. Because the good point of infrared, it has got low scattering, it can go very far, and it is not visible, so enemy cannot see, so it is used in the war signal. So when you send a signal, the heating property, the other side will be tracking the heating effect of it and will be understanding what is the signal given. Okay, in the war signal, third use is war signal. Fourth use is any remote sensing device. In the remote and all, when you press the remote button, infrared rays only comes out. The heating of property will come out, and certain function, it generates current over here, and that current does certain function for us. So all remote sensing device make use of infrared rays. It is used even in the remote sensing device or remote control. Then infrared rays are even used in anti-missile technology. A missile is fired, the missile will be carrying the heat, that is infrared rays, will be ejected by the missiles, and then anti-missiles will have a black sensor, like this kind of. The black body is a good absorber of heat radiation. The black sensors will be there. Those black sensors will be detecting infrared rays and will go exactly the same direction as the missile is fired, and it goes with a faster speed and goes and hit the missiles to destroy it in the air only. So that is called anti-missile technology. No need to know that much details, but there we are making use of the heating property of the infrared rays. So even infrared rays are used over there. So these are the important uses and the properties and the measure of detection I already discussed. These are there in the syllabus. Before there used to be a topic called scattering of light. I think that portion they have removed. That's not in the syllabus especially. So we may not be doing that. Still I will check if it is there in the syllabus, then I will discuss the next day and then start the new chapter.